This episode of the Community Workbench is brought to you by yours truly, the realtor Matt Noren of Remax Bell Park Realty. For all of your real estate needs, call me at 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. Welcome to the Community Workbench. I'm your host, Matt Noren, and to my right is my co-host, Kyle Morrissey, and he's also our tech department.
Wannabe tech department.
And he has a big announcement for our podcast.
Yeah, we are live on Spotify. All 8 episodes are now live on Spotify. The link is in the Facebook Live description. So if you click on that, you can subscribe or like or follow, whatever you have to do on Spotify. So if you don't want to watch YouTube, you can just listen. So
nice.
Yeah.
Super excited about moving forward, moving the needle every week. Thank you, Kyle. Today, we are sitting down with gentlemen from the Lass Green Valley Football Club, and we have Aaron. And we have Chris. Boys, say hello.
Hello.
I mean, we usually start off with, how did it all get started? So whoever wants to jump in, have at it.
Yeah. So,
how did it all get started?
I do that nearly every episode.
That's excellent.
So Kyle is monitoring Facebook Live. If we have any comments or questions, feel free. And he just started to monitor Facebook Live and had his volume on. Sorry.
Right. It's the nature of the raw, of the natural.
Yeah. That's
of the real.
That's what we go for every episode.
So how it started, it would have been, I love the sport, grew up playing the sport, locally from the area, and was playing as a sophomore in high school. And the coach pulled me aside and said, "You're very fast. You always run the 2 mile to start the season faster than anyone else, but you can't really play. You can run, but you can't play. You've got, up and down the field, but not great field awareness." And that was crushing. It was crushing because half of my family's from Argentina. And I grew up very much in that Argentine environment. Grew up in Preston, and the music, the food, the culture, very much the language, very much Argentinian. And so for a young, budding Argentine footballer, it's crushing to have your coach say, "You're fast, but you're not good. How about you switch to cross country?" And I did. And I found great success in cross country and in running. And then in my early 20s, went to live in Argentina for a year with my sisters to meet the family, the uncles and cousins we had never met who still live there, to learn the language fluently, to see the countryside and the culture and Argentine culture. At least for as I know, it feels very much within a home. Yeah. So a lot of time is spent in the kitchen.
Yeah.
The sport is watched in the kitchen. The food happens in the kitchen. It's very common to just spend your time in the kitchen. And so there's a uniqueness to that, to family within Argentina that I grew up with and then wanted to connect with in Argentina. And so when I was there, the sport is played in every park all the time, outside, inside, gymnasiums. So I got to play, I was playing upwards of 4 or 5 times a week.
Wow.
And so then
that's awesome.
I could now play.
Right.
Because when you just play, you can do it. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Right.
So when I came back after that year, I now knew the sport differently. And so played in some adult leagues myself, continued to be a fan of the sport, coached my brother, who's about 20 years younger than me, coached him 15, 18 years ago, and coached him for a long time, continued to play recreationally, and then kind of dropped off for a bit from the sport. But now I have 2 beautiful little ladies. They're 8 and 6. They were interested in trying the sport. So this past spring, I said to the town where I signed up, I said, "Hey, could I get both the girls signed up?" And they said, "Sorry, the signups have closed." I was like, "Really? It didn't used to be that way, but okay." And 2 minutes later, I got a call back, and they said, "Are you the Coach Aaron?" I am. They said, "Well, for you, it's open, and you can as long as you come and coach." And of course, so coaching again this past spring, and coaching, I love it. I love to coach it, to watch it, to play it, to eat it for breakfast. The summer was hitting. It was June, early June or late May. And one of the other parents was like, "Didn't you also used to do adult pickup?" I said, "I did." They said, "Would you start that again?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And for myself, these last couple of years, I've found myself watching it significantly more. I never had really much. Why did I start watching it more? I don't know. I don't know why.
Your kids.
I have a
A theory?
So when I was a kid, I played soccer,
Yeah.
basketball. I didn't have the patience to watch most things. If it was on the TV, my family used to get together and watch basketball together, like UConn girls,
Sure.
whatever. By halftime, I was outside playing.
Okay.
Rain, shine, snow. It would just give me the itch and you'd run out there. I didn't have the patience to watch it. And then as I grew older and more patient, now I can watch even golf,
Right.
and stuff like that.
That's a high bar or a low bar. Nothing against the game of golf, but that requires. So do you watch a particular sport now that have you found in your more aged years that you?
Typically, because we don't have cable at this house, if we're at a bar or if or I catch highlights on the internet mostly of I love watching soccer highlights, UFC highlights as well for some reason. This is a lot of fun.
Chris, you as well?
That's probably the only sport I follow, UFC. Currently started watching soccer.
Nice.
It's
I think just like baseball, soccer, golf, it's a different experience on TV, right?
right.
True.
A lot of wives or even really anyway, like, oh, I can't watch it. It's so slow.
Yeah.
But when you're coming from a chess game perspective, it's not slow, right? Your mind's always thinking, what are they going to do next,
The
right?
strategy
Yeah.
takes over your mind, and if you're watching what they do, and I wouldn't even say it's like a wife thing. I think it's if you don't play, it's the non-players that really have a hard time with it, and that's okay. That
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
My daughter's played soccer for years. My wife loves soccer, and I've tried to watch it, and I just didn't understand it till I started playing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I enjoy watching.
Right.
Yeah. It's a different world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did it. Yeah. So being older, having some time to do so, I started following a club team. So in the rest of, and this is more commonplace knowledge here in the U.S. now than I think it used to be, but in most of the rest of the world, sports, especially the sport of football, is done for almost the entire year. So you watch the game for 10 months out of the year versus just 4 or 5 months or 6. And it's different to be able to cheer and look forward to that almost all year long versus just for a set period of time.
Right.
And that's true. Although football is the one that I follow, soccer football is the one that I follow. That's true of other games internationally as well. And so there's a club team in Wales that I started to follow a few years back, and then I just got hooked. And the more I watched, the more I enjoyed.
Club meaning they're like below. They're not even part of championship, any of that. They're below all those, right?
Club meaning any club. This one happened to be
gotcha.
Happened to be in what's called the National League.
Yep.
So it's the 5th tier of English football.
Have you seen Wrexham FC?
Yeah.
I was like glued to that series.
Yeah.
It's like fascinating.
Yes. And so to me, that's a great picture of, and there was one done a couple years before that called Sunderland Till I Die. I think that's on Netflix, whereas Welcome to Wrexham is now on Hulu. Yeah. So
Sunderland Till
so I think it's called that.
Similar format.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Actually, one of the current owners of Wrexham, Rob McElhenney, It was one of his writers on his show
Oh, no kidding.
who's from England and was watching his team play. But then he said to Rob McElhenney, watch Sunderland till I die. And then you'll start to understand why I feel the way I do about the sport.
Right.
So Rob McElhenney says that he binge watched it in a weekend and was like, I'm ready.
I can totally see that.
Yeah.
It's like so addicting.
Yeah.
And then you just like you're left with anticipation.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's the way they film it, right? But
Absolutely.
just if you love the sport and you see, so for anybody that doesn't know, their National League,
So they were in the National League.
Right, and then
now they're in League Two.
right. So National League, League Two, Championship Premier.
National League, League Two, League One,
All right,
Championship Premier.
close.
And
Anyway,
and to your point, there are 7,000 teams, about 7,000 teams in England,
right.
and about 25 leagues.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at that level, the women's team of Wrexham, they weren't paid.
Right.
So they had a stadium. Well, actually, they didn't have it. They played in like that. It almost looked like a high school field.
Correct. Correct.
But they weren't paid. They worked full-time jobs
Wow.
and played soccer. And if they could get promoted, then they would have been paid.
Correct.
And I think they did. But so in England or in Europe, as opposed to here, they have relegation. So if you're the last one in the league, you drop down a level. And if you win, you go up. So there is potential to move a lot more.
I love it so much. And it's for a lot of the leagues, it's the bottom 2 or 3, sometimes even 4
Right.
that will relegate down,
Yeah.
and the top 2 or 3, sometimes 4 will promote up.
Right.
And so I was talking to some of the gentlemen at work, and I said, so for example, in the NFL, the Jets would have a terrible season. They would finish in the bottom 3 or 2 or the last. They would relegate down, and they would end up playing against, let's say, like an XFL team. And then if they continue to do poorly, they would relegate down below that
Drop it.
until they're eventually playing against like a Sunday
Right.
beer league.
And salaries reflect that every year because
100%.
they'll make less money.
100%.
and-
Some
yeah.
people leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's some risk there that is enjoyable
a
to
lot.
watch during the year while you're enjoying the sport that you already enjoy.
Yeah, it's definitely earn positions, right?
100%.
Oh yeah.
100%.
That's wild.
Yep. So I started watching the sport again in a way I had never done before. I started coaching again, which I hadn't done in a long time, and I'd really missed coaching. When I coached my brother's team, I'd also coached a number of other teams, and so I like when other people get excited about this sport, but also any sport. It's just good to see people outside. You mentioned earlier how you would get bored and you'd want to be outside.
Yeah.
So I love encouraging people to do that, and I think as adults, we don't often get encouraged to do that.
Yeah.
So when they said, would you start a Sunday league again? I said, yeah. So we started doing pickup
Nice.
every Sunday, 5:30 to dark.
Where's that?
We were doing it at Manship Park in Canterbury.
Yep.
And it was every Sunday. And I enjoy always being present. So I would always be there. So no matter what the weather was like, short of lightning or flooding, you could find Coach Aaron there on a Sunday.
Oh, yeah, we were there at 8:30.
100%.
Sunday.
100%. 100%.
And you guys are still playing right now.
Correct.
Outside.
Correct.
Last week was our last outdoor game. We're
was it?
inside this Sunday. Yep.
Oh wow. Where do you play indoors?
There's a gymnasium in Ashford on Route 44 on a Ukrainian Russian evangelical camp.
Yeah. I've actually played basketball in it.
Okay.
Does it still have the plastic tile floor?
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Correct. And so we're playing there. We're going to play there with a size 1 ball,
Oh,
which
nice.
is really small.
Oh wow.
And then pub style goals, the really small
Yep.
goals. And it's going to be 4-on-4.
Cool.
And another thing about international football is that, so you've got the 10 months, you've got the promotion regulation, you've got just the team that you love and the rivalries that you hate. And then within that, you also have cups and trophies that occur during the season. So during the season, a cup would be an opportunity for a League Two team, if they do well enough, to eventually play against a Premier team or a Championship team
Right.
in that cup tournament.
Right. Which Wrexham did actually
Correct.
in the documentary.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then a trophy is similar, but it's usually within Whereas a cup will be within like 5 leagues. A trophy might be just like League One, League Two, and maybe the National League, or League Two, League One, and the Championship. So the trophies are, but it's a similar opportunity for, they call them giant killings, to watch your team that can seat 5,000 fans to take on a team that can seat 50,000 fans.
Right. Yeah.
And all of the kind of enjoyment that comes with, similar to March Madness, right? You get a lower seed that defeats a top seed, and you're like, oh, this is why I love sport.
Right.
So to me, it's neat that it's all somewhat combined in international version of football. And go ahead.
No, I just take a breath.
So our indoor is gonna replicate a trophy, and a trophy tournament in the EFL, in the English Football League, is group stage, kind of like World Cup group stage. You play each team twice, and then the top 2 teams will move on, and then the third place team, 2 of them will move on based on their goal differential, goals scored versus goals allowed. And it's just it's a size 1 ball, so it just totally gives a different version of the sport we've come to love.
Yeah, I would imagine going from a regular size, was it 8 size 8 ball?
5. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
to a 1.
Yep.
I honestly have never played with a 1. I think I started I was already on a 5 when I was 4th or 5th grade. I don't know if the little rec league down in Sterling knew the difference.
And you're correct. And the size 1, I had been introduced to that in Argentina. So in Argentina, futsal traditionally is, whether you're playing out of bounds or in like a hockey style rink where you can use the walls, it's typically like a size 3, size 4. It's got some weight to it. That's traditional futsal. But in Argentina, we had played on basketball courts with a size 1 in pub goals. And so I myself had never done that before going there.
Wow.
And then wanted to introduce it to Chris. I'm going to turn to you because you had never done anything.
No, I think I played when I was 8, 1 year, and never played sports after that. It's been awesome, honestly. I love it. Yeah.
The shift from size 5 to size 1.
It's completely different.
I would
it's more technical. Obviously it's four players.
So it improves your foot skills immensely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's great to challenge yourself, and like get into it. I don't know, like I had younger cousins that were in high school when I was just out of high school, and my cousin was part of the first team when they reformed the wrestling crew at Ellis Tech, and I didn't really think much of wrestling, and it was just like, this is incredibly intense. You can get into it, and I was like, I can get into almost any live sport, I guess, when it's live in front of you, and then to play, then like, they were like, let's roll around on the mats and practice afterwards, and I was like, wow, like it's incredible just to like experience new sports and stuff like that, and it was a happy accident, but like we had the gym here last Saturday, Ashling Gym.
Yep.
And now we have this. It's like we got some great opportunities to, give our viewers, opportunities to try new things.
Yeah.
Like soccer, gym.
We
It goes right with the New Year's resolution season.
Get active.
Yeah.
Get physical.
Get out there.
Yeah, we had 30, 40 people every Sunday.
Yep.
And
so
that was just word of mouth.
100%. So the first month, we were between like 18 and 25.
Yep.
And then there were a couple weeks where people were traveling, and so we dipped down to like 12. But then when we got up to 35, we didn't dip below it.
No.
And it was only once we careened into 45 and we're headed towards 55 that some people were like, hey, do you want to turn this into a league? And we said, yeah, that would be awesome. Bring some extra competitive edge to it.
Yeah. Plus, you probably get more to commit, right? Like it guarantees they're going to show up for a game.
Right.
Certainly, because now you've got skin in the game, and you're
pay
looking
your dues.
Yes.
You get a T-shirt or
You
a
wanna
jersey,
win.
maybe.
So, so I feel strongly about people not paying to play.
Okay.
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 So in my 20s, when I played, there was a outdoor league on the Shoreline. I played for a little while in a league in Willimantic. I'd certainly played in some indoor leagues here in Tall and Bubble and Worldwide Sports, and there was another one made of all wood. which name escapes me that I played for a while, but I also have been financially challenged, and so it's the sport. Not all sports, but this sport is a very cheap sport in the sense that you need green grass, a ball. If you don't, for a while we didn't have lines, so we were just like, be reasonable with your out of bounds.
Just green grass thing is also optional. I had a buddy that played in the Army.
Fact.
And they were, I forget where he was stationed. It was like after Desert Storm, but before Afghanistan, and they played on tarred basketball courts.
Right.
In boots, in fatigues.
Awesome. so that even more speaks to how cheap and affordable the sport is.
And how fun it is to just do it anyway,
Correct.
even though you don't have everything you should have.
Correct.
Literally started soccer in boots. Like for months, I played in work boots.
You did?
Laughed at
That's
me.
amazing. You put like soccer shoes on. You're like, this feels incredible.
It's a whole nother sport.
I wasn't worried about slipping anymore.
Yeah, and that's a good testament to just at the beginning, the pickup opportunity was really just come out there.
Yeah.
And within the first couple of weeks, still have a very good relationship with my brother, and all of his friend group I call them young bucks. I all coached them when they were 5, 6, 8, up through 12, and so invited them to join. And so that first week to watch, I call us the old goats. So to watch us mix in with them was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because at first there was some hesitation from the old goats that the young bucks might run wild.
Yeah, the first month we had a 7-year-old playing. It was
That's awesome.
Yeah,
7D.
7D. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a mixed. It's like half adult.
Yeah, but that's
young buck.
perfect.
Oh, it is great. Yeah,
It keeps the competitiveness at a level that's
right. I don't have to run.
attainable for everybody.
That's right. That's right. And I think, again, just a shift on how in other countries, there's this not expectation, but an understanding that you can continue to play for as long as you
Right,
can.
Right.
Yeah.
And that there isn't a sun setting, and not speaking for other sports, but speaking for this sport, this is the one we do,
Right.
that it allows for that.
Oh, yeah. My wife plays an adult softball league, and they have an 83-year-old player.
Exactly.
So it's definitely up to the individual to whether or not they lose enthusiasm is really what it comes down to, for the most part.
Right.
So,
Right.
So it's not pay to play?
So it's not pay to play.
yes.
So I feel very strongly about that. And there have been a couple of times because our association is still in its infancy. We were getting ready to sign trade certificates today. So like we're very much in our infancy. But there are some things where I fully believe in democracy, except for a couple of things.
As a board member, we've tried to get pay to play, and
There's one of the things that I will not back off from, and that's pay to play.
I believe in democracy, except for a few things. Man, if that is an American,
Amen. And so, yeah, pay to play because, for example, and then we hear testimonies after the fact, right? So we did an interview with the Winning News radio station.
Yeah.
And the gentleman who works for them, Nick Smith, shared with us a testimony that someone who was there doing pickup during the summer had sneakers and didn't have the resources to get boots or cleats.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually didn't even have, it was like twice, like the shoes they had were not good sneakers. So someone bought them a pair of better sneakers and then followed it up, someone else a couple weeks later, with boots or cleats. So like, I didn't know about that. Other board members in the association didn't know about that.
Oh, that happened with your league.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
wow.
But that happened because someone just observed someone needing something.
And they care.
Right.
Mhm.
So for me, when you encourage opportunities like you don't have to pay to play, that helps to foster that kind of growth.
Right. Because if I didn't pay to play, maybe I do have extra money for help
Exactly.
this guy out with shoes or
Exactly.
guards.
And there's no reason, and I think that's the argument with youth sports and a lot of youth sports is it can be done.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mm.
Yes.
And it's not. And so now I notice, well, You guys brought us a bunch of swag.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you're not pay to play. So
How are you funded?
Right, yeah. Where does it come?
Sure, I support free market and advertising. Like
Yeah.
money should come from the industries that are inclined to pay
Right.
advertising, and particularly advertising, because that makes sense. That's what it's there for.
Right.
But it should not come from not only the people participating, but also when people along the way have said, I'd like to give money to what you're doing, I'm excited about it. I said, okay, we'll find a way to do that. Like build a brick road and you can pay for a brick. But the idea of just giving money because you feel really good, hold that. And then when you have an opportunity to do something good, do it.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be connected to money for what we're doing for a very affordable sport.
Right.
And what you said about kids is youth sports.
Yeah.
And having to pay for that. And I get their equipment costs. I get it.
Right.
But-
And exactly. I think you can pass the equipment cost on. That I understand.
Right.
But it's over and above that.
Right.
That they take from.
Right.
Right. And that's where I have a problem. But there's no other alternative at that level.
Right. Unless you get groups that start saying we don't want to continue to pay. For example, during the summer, I found myself down at the Manship Park frequently with my two beautiful little ladies, and so I said at the time the organization within Canterbury, I said, hey, and Plainfield actually, I said to both towns, if I'm going to be there every Monday and Wednesday, I'll be there for at least an hour, for an hour and a half. If there are any young people in the area who who played this last season, so they're signed up through the CGSA and have insurance, and so they're good, and they want to come down to the field for that hour and a half, I will be there every Monday and Wednesday, and they don't have to pay. And so I feel that way about a lot of things we do as a community. And there are certainly times when within a community you have to start paying for things, but it doesn't have to be for a sport that requires a ball, some cones, and some pennies.
Right.
And so people came, and we were averaging about 35
Holy moly.
kids
for free.
That's awesome.
And they just
2
came
days a
down
week.
and got that
every
extra
Monday and
playing
Wednesday.
time.
Yep.
every Monday and Wednesday. And it's good to do things like that when possible.
When possible.
Right.
Now, do you run drills with them? Do you do pickup games?
So I do. I feel, yep. So it's skills, drills, and scrimmage. So there's a rotation, and the kids, we would get ages 14 on down to 6. And so we would split them up when they first get there within 3 years of their fellow compatriots. And then there would be a rotation, and there was one station would be a particular skill. The next station would be a mini game, and a mini game is where you'd set up just 2 cones and you play 1-on-1. First one to score, either that person stays or that person sits, and then another person comes in. So that's actually, I did that with the adults a couple times. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
You shorten that field to just 10 to 12 paces, but it's just you and one other person, and it's hockey style rules, so there's no out of bounds. You get tired quick. There was only one Sunday where with the adults we had only 3 people show up. It was myself and 2 other gentlemen. They had never been to any other pickup, and they haven't come back since. So what I did was they're like, "Oh, we heard that there's like 20 people who come. Where's everybody?" I said, "Hey, I will make something for us to do." We played mini games, 1-on-1, and I would say we played opposite of King of the Hill. So the winner would actually sit. So first one to score a goal, you sit, and the other person stays.
Yep.
And we went for 20 minutes, and we took a break, and we actually then played barefoot and brought the cones in, and even a little bit closer. Went another 20 minutes, and then they were both like, "We're so tired, we need to stop." And I was like, "No, we can do 15 more minutes." And one of the gentlemen actually quickly left and didn't say goodbye.
Was he Irish?
Because he was so tired, and we haven't seen back since. But the point is that you can do this particular sport in many different variations.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the third station would be another skill set, and then the fourth station would be a scrimmage. So that no matter what, every Monday and Wednesday, you get some one-on-one dueling, some full field scrimmage, which is the best way to learn the sport, and then some light skills and drills. But it's really plain. When I was in Argentina, I was cut from the team in high school, but now I can play at a high level because I just played 5 days a week.
Yep.
And that's done frequently in many other countries around this sport, as long as the weather is relatively nice. And Chris, you had never played before,
Never.
and you played every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
And now,
I would get dizzy first 5 minutes in, and now I can play a full game.
that's right.
Wow.
Nice.
That's right. And the way in which you play has drastically changed in one summer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I played when I was 8 for one season.
Yeah.
So I consider that never playing. And now my cardio's better, footwork's better. Still not great, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, but you don't even know you're running. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of soccer, right?
Right.
The cardio, you're
We-
distracted.
And we were running for 2.5 hours during the summer.
Right.
We would play an hour and a half. And then I'd say, okay, that wraps up the first game. Anyone wants to stay? We're going to play for another hour.
Oh yeah,
And a few people would
Yeah.
leave,
Yeah.
but the majority would stay.
there was a few Sundays we played 3 hours straight.
That's wild.
Wow.
Awesome.
But that's awesome.
Yeah, like a 90-minute high school soccer game is like 4 miles typically on average.
Correct.
That each player runs. Probably not the goalie, but
I mean, granted, I am
Yeah.
defense, so
right. There's a little that, like I said, average is out.
To run.
And
I had a coach growing up and used to say to us all the time, offense wins games, defense wins championships.
that's right.
That's right.
So
We're at the top of the table because
don't sell yourself short. You may run less, but you are just as important, if not more.
yeah, yeah.
And along with not paying to play, like we had shared a message with the group as a whole at the beginning, and a couple things were important for us. Number one, we need to know the people who are playing, and so anyone we've had a wait list. Anyone who's interested in playing, they have to come and meet us first,
Right?
Because again, that's skin in the game.
Mhm.
So if I know you and you're playing in a way that isn't appropriate, I can say to you, you can't do that or
Right.
you can't stay.
Right, because you probably don't have referees, right? And it's kind of like call your own
Correct.
fouls.
Correct. And that was how it was during the summer. We've done some loose refereeing in-house
Right.
during the league. But even so, most of us have work on Monday.
Yep. Well, I actually played in a men's basketball league in my early 20s, and I can remember, it was call your own fouls, but no one was keeping track. In a
Sure.
real game, you get 5 fouls,
Sure.
and you sit on the bench. They didn't have that, so there was a lot of young guys kind of wildly, if you got on a breakaway, they would just clobber you when you went up for a layup or whatever, and they'd say, oh, it was my foul, and you get the ball at the top of the key. So
Sure.
it was like it was a strategy to just
Sure.
like take it, and and it was I actually didn't finish the season because it was that bad.
Correct.
And actually there was a handful of us that were just like, sorry, this, like, I was a contractor, I was working for a contractor at one point, and you just can't keep. And then one of the guys that worked for us ended up with a broken ankle, and I was just like, yeah, that's dangerous.
Exactly.
And they want to do that, they can, but I'm not going to be part of it.
Exactly. So people so much enjoyed the summer pickup, and it was so beneficial for so many people that I said, okay, so we're going to transition to a league. Competition will go up, level of play will be turned up. That's fine, but we have some expectations. Number one is we got to know you, and so you've got to come and meet us. You come on some Sundays. We don't do a league game; we just do pickup.
Mhm.
So you can come to that and meet us. We had some open pickups on Friday nights. You could have come to that to meet us. We had, or you can come an hour, half hour before the first game and meet us. But you have to meet us because I gotta be able to say, it's even if someone wasn't malicious, the fact that they know that we know them makes a difference.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like looking someone in the eyes, shaking
Yes.
their hand, and you have a handshake agreement
100%,
to
100%.
not hurt each other,
100%.
try your best
That's
not
right.
to hurt each other.
That's
And
right.
we want to focus more on the game,
That's
not
Yeah. We've had some
brute
injuries.
force and injury and strength,
That's
in that way.
That's right.
So
100%.
We've had some injuries, but it's all self-inflicted.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
yes,
Sounds exactly right for that age group.
It sounds like the perfect league for me to hurt
It
myself.
has been, it
for
has been,
sure.
it has been almost all ankles.
yeah.
Oh,
and, they,
yeah.
and they get swollen for about 3 weeks, and you take the 3 weeks off, and then you're back. And you're absolutely right. It's been nice to know that the only injuries have been I just stepped wrong, and I'm going to be out for a couple weeks, and then I'll be back.
Yeah, for me, it's always that big kick and your leg, and it's like the lower back just
Sure.
pulls a muscle almost instantly when I start playing.
Sure.
We met actually coaching our kids.
Oh, wow.
I was
Yeah.
the assistant coach to his head coach, and we were trying to show the kids. It was U8, right?
Yeah.
U8. So
Yep.
we were trying to show the kids, moving to open space. And so it was literally the two of us versus how many, 11 players,
Yeah, something
whatever.
like that.
And we just kept moving and passing to each other. And the kids would, when they all bunched to me with the ball and I kick it to him, and they're like, oh, and we were just trying to get them. So we were running quite a bit for 2 players against 10,
Sure.
a half field situation. And, I can remember because we didn't have our cleats on.
No,
I slipped hard.
I slipped.
Yeah.
It's very
And it was
vivid.
we'd try to fake the kids and then go back to the corner. Well, he's already running where I was faking.
Sure.
It's like-
100%.
it was the typical over 30-year-old. Hey, I haven't played in 10 years. Let's coach kids and
Yeah.
get stupid.
That was sad.
Correct. Which is why over the summer to have people playing for 2.5 hours, that's what made the difference. Like
Yeah.
people just, and because we were doing it at Manship Park, a lot of us old goats have children. So they were there playing and walking dogs and hanging out
Mhm.
while we're playing the sport.
Right.
So it very quickly became like a family environment.
Now
Yeah.
Canterbury just lets you use that field.
So we had asked for permission to use that field, and through the rec commission, and they had been very gracious for us for that.
I mean, in theory, right? You're a town resident. You can
Hey,
go there and play pickup.
we could do a second discussion around politics, and I will come back. But ultimately I want to keep the peace. And so I had been thankful that they had let me use the field for the summer program with the kids.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to,
And they have a 11v11 field. Then they
Correct.
have U8. I put
Correct.
the girl. My
correct.
kids have played there
Yep.
for that one. They only have those 2.
Yeah. And then within the big field, there are
gotcha.
there's a U8 field built within the field.
Gotcha.
So, and I also understand Canterbury doesn't have currently a lot of green space for that sport.
Yeah.
And so I'm sensitive to that.
Yeah, but Sunday afternoons, I mean, nobody's playing. on it.
And so we used it all season long.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so the only reason we're looking for green space now is because part of the vision is we'll wrap up our league in June, our outdoor league. So we're pausing for 2 months in the winter to do the indoor Argentine futsal trophy. And that's made up of the same people within the league, but we're just doing it a little bit different format. So each of the 4 teams have broken up into thirds, and each of the 4 teams will have a representative in Group A, Group B, Group C, just like you would have in the World Cup.
Yep.
And when we move back out to outdoor in March, we'll finish our games in about the middle of June. We're doing 27 weeks total from start to finish.
Wow.
And but so then the goal is to, after we wrap that up, do pick up again for the summer and to open it up, because we didn't tell anyone.
No.
Someone who was doing it was like, hey, I brought my cousin or my
Yeah.
third uncle twice removed. Can they play? And it's a pickup. Of course they can play.
Right.
And so we would want to open it up now more publicly to people in the area, which means we need more green space. We need 2 large size fields
Right.
instead of just 1. And then in the fall, when we when we do the second season of the league, we start the league again. I'm anticipating about 8 or 10 teams
Wow.
versus our 4 that we had this season. And again, we got to meet you. We pick, and each team has 2 captains, so that it never feels like if I don't make it on a Sunday, the team, and the captains are responsible for communication, and we do some meetings where we talk about things as a group and make agreements as a group. And then there's some basic other rules, like no slide tackling. I love the sport, and slide tackling is important if you're watching it on the television. It is not important when you're doing it on a Sunday league. Right.
Okay.
So we've made some adjustments to that.
Right.
There shouldn't be any. I actually clipped a video. We use Discord as a communication tool, and another app called Game Changer. I clipped a video on Discord saying, here's an appropriate foul. And it's like above the waist, basically 2 people come into the ball and one person body checks the other person. That's fine, because you're both going to the ball at the same time. That's the nature of sport.
Yeah.
As long as your body is making contact with their body, you're good.
And you're coming away with the ball, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But if I'm using my hand to stop someone or my foot to stop someone, you can't do that. So I would say,
Right.
as an announcement before we'd start the games, I'd say if you like the video game FIFA, if you slide tackle from behind, you'll be asked to leave. Like, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to play the sport and to do it fairly.
Right.
If you get beat, try better next time.
Right.
But you can't step on my foot because I was going to
Yeah.
go around you.
Someone once told me the only reason you're slide tackling is because you were out of position in the
100%.
first place.
100%. You got beat and you're now cranky about it. That's
Now you're just showing everybody
That's right.
that you were not in the right position.
correct. And so, so no slide tackling. Fouls need to stay very, very minor. And so then in that agreement, that's why people keep coming and why
Yeah.
people are asking other people, hey, can my friend join? They can't, they can wait list and join next season. But even as we branch out to 8 or 10, we will pick the captains. So what we don't want is someone showing up with, oh, me and my 12 friends are going to play in your league. Because we have a good thing going.
We do.
Part of the way we keep that is by believing in democracy, but having some kind of trouble.
Now, do you guys have sort of like a draft, right? Because you want teams
Mhm.
even, and so that's challenging at any level
Sure.
to create even match play.
It was at your house. Go ahead.
So yeah, we rated everyone from 3 to a 5.
Yeah.
We started with the 5s, spread them all out, and then went down the list. Kind of making.
So is that just, did you have like a physical skills thing just to evaluate, or this was just you guys kind of evaluating over time?
Yeah, we played with them all summer,
Yeah.
so for the most part, we knew their skill level.
And that was the benefit of doing the summer pickup, because then we all knew each other.
Right.
So
Yeah.
then that's where the democracy comes in. And okay, do we think this person is a 4 versus a 4.5?
Right.
Well, they can do much more independent, and you don't feel nervous when they have the ball.
Right.
So that's more of a 4.5. They're really newer to the game, so they're more of a 3 or 3.5. And so there was
I'm a 3.5.
a vote. But you
Those aren't those those ratings confidential?
What's so funny is that we had pulled in we had the members of the association and the captains all around the table, and when we were ranking people, and of course some of the young bucks like my brother and some of those others were like, what's my rating? I said, don't worry about it. Why are you so concerned? In the FIFA game, it's called the FIFA card, so they wanted to know like what rating they would be. I said, don't worry about it. But a lot of jokes have stemmed from the now pretty public knowledge on who is ranked what. But you just started as a 3.5.
Oh yeah, I did.
No, I'm saying at the start of the summer.
Right.
Sure. You were in boots. Even if
This boots, is that like an automatic 2?
That was my
That-
superpower.
I saw the glee in your eyes, man. You're proud. Are you going to get that tattooed on? Or? I'm a 3.5.
Watch out.
I went this morning and got indoor cleats.
Did you
You'll be
really?
happy. Yes, I did.
Hey,
Yes, I
because he's been hesitating.
Also been playing in my boots.
When we switched to indoor for the open gym in December to allow people to try, because there was some size 1, futsal is a 3, is a 4, it's got some weight to it. I'm like, okay, this is one of those non-democratic moments. It's gonna be a size 1. So come on a Friday,
Good for you.
try it out, and prove me wrong. And everyone who disagreed at first tried it, loves
yeah.
it, loves it.
It's far challenging. We'd play with a 1 on the beach,
Oh, yes,
and it's even harder, obviously,
Oh,
because it
sure.
doesn't move. But your skill level with using a 1 when your foot size is a 9, a 10,
yes,
11 is far more
Yes.
difficult than kicking a size 5.
yes. And we play walls, so there's no out of bounds, there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
offsides.
So it's
So it feels a
fast.
little
No
bit like-
offside.
Yes,
So
Yeah.
some high scoring games. That's
Yes.
definitely a trip away from the European style.
correct.
culture.
But because it's a small pub size goal, your shot's got to be pretty on point.
Yeah.
No goalies.
Oh, yeah.
No goalies.
Yeah.
But if if a defender's standing,
There's goalies.
there's no goalies.
You can't use your hands, but
Exactly.
you'll have a defender
Right.
stand in front.
Okay, and
Depending upon your
The
strategy.
whole team will be in front of that goal.
what's so funny and consistently, like when we did the summer pickup, and it was so much laughter, it was so much fun, and then we started the league, and it's like instead of when you start on the stove, instead of going to like a 5 to like start to warm it up, you go right to an 8 or a 9. And so for a lot of people who'd never done it before, they were like, I don't know if I like this anymore. Because all of a sudden the intensity of winning and losing or drawing, it does something to the human psyche.
Yeah.
We actually have a lot of people that have never played soccer and stuck around because of the atmosphere we built.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, how did you guys find that gym?
The just connections,
Yeah.
asking people, they do some, I have a connection to, through my brother to that gym. And so I asked to meet with the gentleman who runs the facility.
Yeah.
And I explained what we're doing. And, and he said, yes. So it's going to be very different. It's going to be very nice.
So this is the first winter.
This will be the first winter. Yep.
Yeah. So we've played all December on Fridays, but it was just
as an
like
open gym.
pickup. Yeah.
Correct. And it was funny because the first 3 Fridays, again, it was like fun and laughter. And then this last Friday, the heat got turned up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that's what he's saying by we don't have goalies, but we do. We don't. But as of this last Friday, someone stands in front of the goal to try to block it. Like, that's why would I just leave an open net? So the game has changed.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it differs too who you're playing against. If you have somebody that has a long range shot,
True.
and you're not playing with a goalie,
True.
Now,
easy for them to score.
True.
same kind of typical rule where if your hand didn't move and the ball just hits it, it's not really a handball.
True, except for the person's son. And so the one adjustment that no one knows about yet that we'll make is
Hearing it first.
Yeah, hearing it first. If you're taking that risk of standing in front of the goal, that's fine. But if you get a handball, because I will be refereeing all the games except the one that I play in this facility, there's a nice second floor where you can watch the game happening.
Oh, nice.
So you can't be in the gymnasium because it's just a basketball gym with goals. So it's like no extra room. But there's a stair set that takes you up to a second floor where you can overlook.
Yeah.
And so, so I'll be refereeing all the games except the one I play in. And if there's a handball on that person right in front of the goal, then it's going to be a penalty shot. And a penalty shot in the gymnasium is the person gets the ball at the halfway line. No one's in front of the goal and they can just kick it in. So it's like, if you want to be in front of that net, that's fine. That's a risk. If you get a handball somewhere else, it's unintentional. Absolutely. We always play on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do that with outdoor as well.
Right.
But if you're right in front of that net where it's highly likely it might happen, that's your risk. You're going to get a penalty shot. That's going to be almost a guarantee.
I'll still miss.
Don't say that. You made a goal this past Friday where your foot was up by your ear. You want to talk about that goal? That was a great goal.
Been doing yoga.
Oh, stretching.
You
I will
have
say
to.
that helps.
Pilates.
Stretching is huge.
Now, are you guys? So are their goals up against the wall, or you have them pulled out?
Right up against the wall. Yeah, right up against the wall for indoor. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
How big is a pub goal?
It's
Like,
So a youth goal.
It's like the pop-up ones. Are you
Yep.
using the round
Yeah.
ones?
Yeah.
so we're not using round ones only because the round one eliminates those corners.
Yeah.
And
Like-
similarly in hockey,
the upper
you
90.
need those. Yes,
Yeah.
you need that. So we had this last Friday, I was going to use those. And then this last Friday, I was like, oh, that's right. Because if you have someone in front of it with the round pub goals, it's much harder.
Yeah.
But if you have that corner kind of hockey style goal, okay, even if someone's in front of it, there's still area for you to put it in.
Yeah. And we thank you for that mercy after making us use a one ball.
A miserable experience for the fine folks.
You want to play with a hacky sack next week instead?
That's a great way to warm up.
How many under 20 somethings, if you say hacky sack, would know what you're talking about?
Dude,
That's a throwback.
Yeah, probably not many.
Yeah.
Did you play hacky sack in high school?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you
In
hacky sack?
junior
high
high,
school?
high school.
You never hacky sack?
I played
I
in
mean,
Yeah.
fifth, sixth,
there was
and
a circle
seventh.
going on.
I was gonna say Ellis Tech,
Yeah.
man. You had downtime in shops, so
They were
hacky sacks came out.
That's wild. It's funny to think about some of those things. So we're showing our age a little bit, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Certain things that no one will ever understand the frustration of a hacky sack or a floppy disk.
I will say
Floppy disk.
Santa brought my son a hacky sack this
Okay.
year.
Really?
Yep. We've been
Do you know what to do with it?
we've been going
Or do you
through
just
it.
honk it the minute he
It's-
opens it?
Keep it up without your hands.
What kind of
and,
baseball
you
is
know.
this, Dad?
Yeah. Everybody had their favorite. There were always like brands that had like better beads
That's
or better
right.
this, and you're like, oh, this one's too full. It's not going to sit on my foot
That's
right. And yeah, we used to do it in the back of the class waiting for the bus in fifth grade, and then it just sort of progressed. I think I stopped at like seventh grade because
Sure.
it became more uncool. But
It'll never come back.
6th and 7th grade home ec class. We all made
Oh.
you would
oh, you
would
made them.
rush through whatever
Oh.
tasks you had.
you could
you
play
could
it.
use her scraps and we made tons of different ones. Somebody made one with marbles.
Oh, jeez.
But like a heavier bead for like necklaces, like that was one of the better ones. And
Yeah.
somebody had fish tank
Rocks.
Fish Tank Rocks.
Yeah.
Vivid memories of.
That one's okay, but it cuts through the fabric.
I think the best one I had, it was like the little cherry pits, and it was like half full, and it was knit, and it
Yeah.
was like the best.
Well,
Yeah.
for sure. Knits were
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you would have some of the other ones, but the knit ones were
Yeah, like the ones that were sewn almost like
Correct.
soccer balls and stuff.
Correct.
They would all come
Correct.
through. It's just
Yeah.
you had to invest in it, just like anything else.
That's
you had to spend the
Yeah.
money.
And they always come like hard packed.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
it was like a couple of weeks and they would finally loosen up.
Yeah, it's like a baseball
it's-
glove. You had to
sit
like
there,
work
like,
it.
working
when you,
it.
and when you hadn't done it before, but you were now in 6th grade or 7th grade or cool,
Yeah.
wanting to be cool, and you would see someone else doing it. Oh, look, they're rolling it underneath their foot. That's why I got to do that.
That's-
I see.
Roll it in my hands. I got to roll it in my hands like this.
I see a comeback and a hacky sack league
Whoa.
branching off of this league.
that or they're just that's what they warm up with
Yeah,
before the
sure,
game.
right.
Yeah.
That would be wild. That'd be wild.
It's like using in baseball, we used to put donuts on our bats, or we would swing 2 or 3 bats
Okay.
to lighten the bat when we went up to bat.
Not a real donut.
No, it's a
It's a weight that
Yeah,
goes
it's a,
on there.
it's a weight that goes on. And all you have to do is make sure that the donut hole is not bigger than the end of the barrel, so it doesn't fly off. But so you would do that to warm up. This, I guess, would be the opposite if you're using a light ball.
Right,
But
right.
it
Hacky
still improves your footwork.
Yes.
But you'll change the way the game's played as they're using hacky sack moves
Significantly.
down the field
Why is
instead
the ball
of
still in the air?
instead of football moves.
Hacky sack down the field. Yeah, it's funny. I admit, as we wrap up hacky sack, I was never good at it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like as an adult you get away from it or whatever,
Sure.
and you didn't really play soccer much as a
That's right.
as a kid.
Yeah, in my
so-
youth, I could not. I would stand in the circle for a few minutes and then go do something else because I was not very good.
You know what's interesting about hacky sack is you could tell those that played soccer because they would kick with the top of their foot, and those that didn't turned
Use the
inside
inside of the
and,
foot.
and
Yeah,
kick
I
like
was
that.
adjusted. I was pretty proficient in both.
We have no way to prove that. So yeah.
Oh, we got a hacky sack. We can prove it.
Someone's got a hacky sack.
And what was the shoe? Was it the Vans? Like those who were really good at hacky sack, did they wear Vans?
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah, actually, the Converse 5-star. And
Converse
my,
5-star.
the adults in my life are like, "You want these?" But that was like, it's a $15 set of shoes. You can get those.
That's right.
And
Was it because of the
flat
Yeah.
surface on the side of the
Yeah.
shoe just made it so much
more real
easier.
estate?
Yep.
That's
And then-
so funny.
Yeah, I remember that. That was funny. And my uncle and my dad were making fun of me. They're like, man, I haven't even seen a pair of those in 20
Rightfully
years."
so. I mean, jeez.
Those are like the Converse All-Star shoes there.
Were they all white?
Guaranteed. No, they had colors
Oh.
and stuff. I forget. I think it was Danielson Surplus. I found the set.
Danielson
They-
Surplus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were.
Who also sell soccer cleats?
They do.
Yeah.
I don't know if do they sell adults. I know they sell kids.
They do. They do. Yeah, and they've been. We got our pennies from them. They've been great.
Yeah, they're
Warren's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's an excellent guy.
I'm trying to get him on. He's not into the cameras and whatnot. So.
But he's into talking. Let me. I'll talk to him.
Oh, maybe we offer a Spotify only episode. Where we don't have a
We've
camera.
had some conversations recently. He's into talking. I bet you we could
Yeah.
swap a stool for a sofa chair. He would
His-
be better.
His dad ran the business before, so he's like over 70 years in business.
That's awesome.
Such a cool.
That's
thing.
awesome. Yeah,
Such
yeah.
a-
Any opportunity I get to shop local, shop there, I go. Yeah, that's
Nice.
good. Yeah, I got even when I was in high school, my cross country cleats. No, they weren't called cleats. They were called
Shoes.
yes, but they had another word because they had the spikes. You had to screw them in and screw them out. Track shoes.
Oh,
Spikes. I guess
Oh,
they're
they
called
use
spikes.
those for cross country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the difference in cross country, you would only have.
On the ball,
You're right.
everything's lifted.
Right.
You don't use your heels.
Oh,
Less
wow.
impact on your knees and joints.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, and then my brother actually, and I wore them too. My brother actually bought a pair of strength trainer shoes that had this 2-inch lift on the
Oh, I've seen
ball.
those.
So your heels, you're
Yeah.
running the track with that. Your heels never, and your calves were like,
I've never seen them for track. I've seen them basketball players use them.
yeah. Well, that was kind of the deal. I would actually run with them with ankle weights on as well, and like you're just always on your toes, and they look stupid.
They do.
And
They're
I
effective.
run in the Ellis Tech track just just to run and conditioning, and there'd be people. I had a guy yell out, slowed right down, yell out, "What is on your feet?" It's like keeps the heels up. Never get caught on your heels.
That's what we say the same thing to Chris when he's wearing his boots. What are those?
Maybe he's got more real estate to kick the ball.
Sure, it doesn't
Is
work
it
like
steel
that,
toe
though.
work
No,
boots?
no. They look like they are.
Playing dirty.
And other fun things, like whenever someone shanks a ball, kicks it and misses, we all yell, "Go get it!" Like if you miss the goal,
Oh, yeah.
you go get
That's
that
your
ball.
penalty,
Right.
Yeah.
And so, another example of just like what made the summer fun.
That's why indoor is so great. It can only go so far.
Always comes. And we're playing with walls, so it always comes back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now, I didn't watch the sport when I was in high school, but there was a player that was, when we shanked, everybody always yelled Baggio.
Okay.
And I guess that was a player that was known for a pretty bad shot.
Yeah, he kicked in 1994. He kicked the penalty kick over the goal in the World Cup.
That's what it was.
That's
Yeah.
so sad when someone gets known for that singular time. Probably was a phenomenal player.
It happens all. I mean,
awards.
what is one of the most famous Argentinian soccer players known for?
The hand of God. Diego Maradona. And hand was like this.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Messi's redeeming that whole team.
Oh, 100%.
You
This
know?
last World Cup, if we're going to talk about Argentina, this last World Cup redeemed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had only won 2 previously. Yeah. For some countries, it is the sport.
Right.
And it's interesting because Chris and I were talking on the ride over, like in the US, there's an understanding that you have, for example, the NFL in the fall and the NBA is in the winter and the baseball
Ball in the spring.
Right.
Yep.
But a couple days ago or yesterday, I heard an interview from the actor Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson,
Mhm.
and he and a working partner are combining spring American football leagues like the XFL and the USFL. So they're basically combining what has been spring American football together to create a new spring league. And the reason I like that, and the reason that makes sense to me, is in the rest of the world. Earlier, I mentioned how England has 7,000 club teams and 25 leagues. So that means that technically, and there are a couple stories. We had mentioned one, the Dorking Wanderers in England. So you've got it starts as a Sunday league.
Yep.
And then in the Sunday league, you get promoted out of it. And then you spend a couple decades getting promoted. And now they're playing at level 5, the National League. And so there aren't really any examples in the US where if you enjoyed something in high school, you can do it out of high school unless you're going to college. If you're going to college, you can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. But if you don't go to college or if you don't make a particular team, there aren't any more opportunities, which in the same way,
Right.
which is where in a lot of these other countries, those opportunities remain because you just transition from high school to a Sunday league, a Saturday league. And if your team gets good enough, then you can move on in that, at least in this sport.
Right.
And I get it. I understand why they're starting the spring American football because right now, there's 350 million Americans, let's say, about. I think we have more now, but sure. And out of that, you're funneling to how many teams are in the NFL? 32, let's say 32 teams in the NFL.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, close to that.
And I only know this because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said so. You can roster up to 53. So out of 350 million Americans, that's still a lot of people not playing the sport they love, even though they all did in high school. They all did it at local parks.
Yeah.
But then there's this weird, strange, only a very, very select few can make it.
So with football, though, I mean, there's a lot of colliding, and you can take the slide tackling out of that.
True.
Out of soccer.
True.
I don't know if you'll take it out of football.
I agree with that, but people still play
right
with friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. They play
flag football's come up big time.
2-hand touch.
Okay.
When listening to this interview with what they're going to do with spring American football, that made sense to me, because if you enjoy the sport in the fall, why do you want to take a break from it and wait till the next fall?
Right.
You would want to, like, I love that I can watch my club team in Wales play 10 months out of the year because I love the sport. So I want to see it as much as I can during the year. I know they need 2 months, but even then, by the time the 2 months, after a month of not being able to watch them, I'm like, oh, when does it start again? I know they need a break, but I enjoy watching all year round.
Right.
And so it would make sense that now there's a push, even for a sport I'm not connected to in the US, to allow more people to watch the sport, so that it's not just those in the NFL, but there's also all these guys who will be playing in this other league because they love the sport.
Right.
And so that was another impetus for starting our association, because as an adult, I still want to play this game competitively that I enjoy. And there's only so many MLS teams.
So in theory, if you were in England, and you can start a team as a Sunday league like this, get a trade certificate, and if you get good enough,
you promote up.
There technically wouldn't be an owner. There's just a board of directors.
Correct.
And you would just That's wild.
We mentioned the Dorking Wanderers. I can't remember. They've been in play for a couple of decades. It was started with like a bunch of friends at a pub.
Yeah.
And they're now at level 5. And one of the gentlemen, their current coach, who's also their majority owner, was one of the first ones who was just playing.
That's so cool.
Right.
That's so cool.
And this could be like literally an epic start to something here in America.
Right.
As far as like
and
every sport taking this kind of
just let
format.
us play. Let us play.
Right.
Yeah.
You grow and get multiple towns
That's
that have
right.
that puts multiple teams
There's
into
no
the
reason
league.
not to. Yes.
And then you play at different towns
Yes.
fields, right? So that gives you the extra green
That's right.
space because they're
That's
now all over.
That's right. And this is a good time for it. So when I heard that interview from them about the springtime American football, that made sense, because at the same time, I'm thinking about this for our area, Northeastern Connecticut, or at least Eastern Connecticut. And there seems to be an interesting buzz right now that hasn't happened before. You mentioned the show Welcome to Wrexham. That was a big hit.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso on Apple TV was a big hit.
Welcome to
I've
Wrexham.
used lots of quotes in Ted Lasso and Soccer City.
Yeah.
That was literally our homework. My wife and I. He's like, "You ever heard of Wrexham?" I'm like, no.
Oh,
I was like, watch the show.
for anybody that's Hulu. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on Hulu. Incredible documentary about Wrexham FC.
Correct.
And the story that took them from essentially on the brink of just not
Collapse.
being there
Correct.
to success.
Correct. And how much it impacts the community.
Yeah.
I love watching the town.
Which I think that was that was like the biggest thing, is to see the community come together and like, nope, we're not going to let this happen, and just band together. And I mean, they were saved by some.
True, but that story is pretty. It's certainly not it's consistent. There's another
spoiler alert. Hold on. I haven't seen it.
Okay. There's another team I like in England called Scunthorpe, and they were at level 5, the National League. Well, they got relegated down, right? So now they're in the National League North, and I'm still following them, and I still watch their games. I still like their story, because they also had someone who, when they were in the National League at level 5, had recently purchased the team, had closed the youth academy because money was tight and just didn't have the funds for it, and then wasn't able to maintain it financially. And so it was going to close. And a majority buyer who was already connected to the club, she put in her resources, and then the community put in so it's not just Wrexham.
Right.
That story it's consistent to find communities wanting to fight for their team in their town, which is something we don't really get to do.
Yes, that's
in these United States.
One of the biggest pushes for this platform is just I definitely see in our micro cultures and our even larger cultures is the sense of community that's waning away.
Right.
Plus the divisive nature of the politics.
Yeah, the next episode, tune in for.
I just think we need to go back to like the nuanced conversations about it. I think most of us are just reasonable humans doing our best, and that we could all come together on on many things.
Correct. And even when I do interact with unreasonable humans, they're still human.
Right.
So they still genuinely have positive feelings and vibes about the things they think about or the things they feel about the people they want to interact. Right.
Yeah.
Usually you just have to find that certain line of communication,
Right.
where you can hear each other, and that's kind of like the biggest thing. So.
Right.
I will say I am a number 4 in beer drinking tonight because I am trying the Imperial Stout you brought. I want to
That's-
thank you for these beautiful
Yeah.
refreshments. They are
You're so welcome.
very,
they're
very
all
good.
they're all fantastic.
That one's my favorite. I know we've been talking, so we haven't really mentioned them, but
It's the darkest too.
it
I
is the
think.
darkest
Yeah. It's good though.
and the most like black coffee in cerveza or beer form. And that's why it's probably my favorite.
This is my favorite of the 4 as well.
It's good.
Yeah, it is. So I like to find things off the beaten path. This is a British organic beer making company, and I liked their story. And they were hard. I'd go to visit my grandmother in Pennsylvania every 6 to 8 weeks, and there was always a grocery store there where I could find them hit or miss. And then then I would just I would ask like the different stores around here. I'd say, hey, could you get Samuel Smith for me, please? And sometimes they would get it. Sometimes they get one. Sometimes they get the other.
I don't think I've ever found a store not be able to get something that I've asked. Like they seem to always
which I
have.
appreciate so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like the one-offs. Like, oh,
Correct.
do you have
Correct.
Yeah.
this bottle of this? And like, oh no, we can get it, and then just one bottle, and it's like $12, $15,
Correct.
and they'll still do it. you
Correct. Correct. So I like that we can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how many
Yeah.
people know that, but it's nice to be able to. Yeah. So this is
Yeah.
an assortment of Samuel Smith. Russian Imperial Stout's your favorite.
So your 2 young ones are U8, U10,
Are you U8 and U6?
U8 and U6.
I call
Okay,
them- I
so
call-
we would have. My youngest is U8, so we would have played you, but we didn't play Canterbury at all this year.
Okay.
So in the fall.
Yep.
But we play in the spring. We played. I don't know her name. There's a woman coaching Canterbury that coaches the young ones too.
Yes.
Yeah. So we played them in the spring, but
Okay.
we didn't play Canterbury. So maybe in the spring this year
Excellent.
we'll meet.
Excellent. Around this beautiful game.
Playing
Most
rec.
beautiful game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rec. Yeah. So Brooklyn's part of Econ.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know why we didn't play Canterbury.
How old's your oldest?
8.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, so she'll be
But
U10
just-
Mine are.
She
10
will
to
be a
12.
U10, you're right.
Never-
in, but not till the fall, right? I
It
thi-
depends when the birthday.
yeah, it's so
falls.
weird.
Yep.
Yeah. Can never follow it.
Yep.
Just do what the website tells me to
That's
do when I register.
That's right.
Yeah. It's funny what you say about, it's a cheaper sport. And I can remember actually, right when I started coaching micros, unfortunately, Benny's closed down, but I bought all their soccer balls.
That's awesome.
We bought a lot of them. My wife was upset.
That's awesome.
Why do we need so many? I'm like, we need them.
That's right.
It was like, and my kids were little, so we weren't sure if they were going to like soccer ball.
Sure.
I mean, soccer. So
Sure.
Soccer ball sport.
That's right. That's right.
Calling it football, soccer, soccer ball, and hacky sack,
That's right.
hacky sack ball.
That's right. And at one point, it's football with FUT,
Right.
kind of combination of football, as we say in Argentina, football.
Have you seen there's a SNL with Nate Bargatze, and they're in like Revolution gear, and they're talking, he's explaining like football, but it's the real football, and he's explaining, no, well, it's called football, but you use your hands. You only kick sometimes.
It is a funny joke everywhere else in the world about how in these United States, because we have opinions, that we would have the gall to call something football.
I wonder,
Across the world.
I don't even know how they got to soccer from that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I actually think there's a way in which when you're playing football, you describe it as soccer, and I think somehow that got pulled in. But yeah, I'm not sure the particulars of it.
Yeah.
But there are other oddities, like we're the only ones, right, to not use a metric system. There's like a handful of
He goes through that in the
Us
skit.
or
You'll have to look
die.
it up. It's hysterical.
Us or die.
It's like all the
Our way or
decisions
the highway.
that the United States made when they left
youngest
England.
nation on earth.
Yeah. They're like, no,
Let us write the rules.
and we will only use this system for this and this. We will use the other system for everything.
Sure.
It's
So
hysterical.
funny. So funny. Yep. The
That's
greatest
funny.
game.
Yeah.
And there's a funny one of the one of the more funny episodes of Welcome to Wrexham shows Rob McElhenney bringing in his friends to his bar in Philadelphia
Mhm.
to have them watch a game.
Yeah.
And he's like, we've been good. You're going to see goals. It's going to be exciting. And the whole game goes to a draw. No one scores. Now, I love the game. And even in the league we play in, if you win, you get 3 points. If you draw, you get 1 point. If you lose, you get none. So in the league table, instead of at the end of the season, the top whatever teams move on to the playoffs, at the end of the season in football, whoever's at the top of the league, they win. So like you
no
worked all
playoff
season for your points, you win.
Right.
And then the top 2 or 3 teams get automatic promotion.
Yeah.
Teams 4 through 7 will do a playoff to get the 4th promotion spot. Or in some of the lower leagues, there's only the top one moves on, and then 2 through 7 do a battle for. So there is some of that, but it's definitely not. If you won, you won. The winner should never have to gamble with the potential loss because of someone who
because they had a bad day. Yeah.
Get out of here with that. We were not inferior. We were furior. No, what's the
Superior.
Superior.
We worked so hard all season. You're not going to take that from us at the end. And some of the cups and trophies during the season provide that like giant killing opportunity, the upset. We had a bad game and we lost. But if you're on top, like right now, our team in our outdoor league is on top. So we will exit this league if we stay on top because of points. Winning.
The in-season tournament has always been interesting concept. I mean, so the MLS does it now.
Mhm.
NBA does it now.
Mm-hmm.
And it just all stems from England. Was it the FA Cup? Is that what they call it?
So there's a couple. There's the FA Cup, and then there's the English Football Cup.
Yep.
And then it's named something else because each year, however many years they get sponsored, like the FA is always the FA Cup, but the EFL Cup will get sponsored by someone else. And so then it's called the Carabao Cup, but it's the EFL. So it's sponsored by Carabao. I think they're like the Gatorade of England.
But it gives them a break in the middle of the
100%.
season. You know,
And
they're long, especially 10 months.
Correct. And so there's 2 or 3 of those. It's also an opportunity for your members of your starting squad, your first team, to take a break
Right.
and allow the reserves or some of the other players an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
That gives them something of value. And some years, if a team knows they're going to finish middle of the table or towards the bottom, they're not going to get relegated, but they're going to finish to the middle. It's also an opportunity to be like, okay, we're going to try for the league games, but we're going to really try for this cup or this trophy so that we can feel. And that's also good. Like just because you're the domineering team of the season, it's good to know that if you're going to be in the middle, you can still have an opportunity to get a different trophy.
Right.
Right.
Win an
Mid-season.
accolade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's very rare for a team to win them all. In England, Manchester City last year won all 3. It was like the big cup game, the big European Cup, and then Champions League, and then their Premier League.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity for others usually. So
Yeah, I mean, Wrexham made it to the finals of the FA Cup and the FA Cup,
yeah, not quite the finals. They made it to the 3rd round, which was big.
but they played somebody from the Premier League.
Champions League.
Champions.
Yep, and it was Coventry City, and they beat them, which was huge. And then they played Sheffield United, which also was in the Champions League. So it's like 70 plus teams, 70 plus places above them.
Right.
Like if you rank top Premier from the bottom of level 5,
Wow.
and they drew them the first game 3-3.
Yeah.
Lost the second game, but yeah, for a team like that to upset, and there have been other examples like that.
Yeah.
I will say, as a player in high school, there was nothing more disappointing than a draw. I would be the one that let's play until 3 overtimes and then a sudden death or whatever. I'm just like, we need to decide this tonight.
Last Sunday, both games ended in a draw.
It never happened this season. All season long, we've had wins and losses.
Yeah.
It was the first week of both games drawing, and it was fine because losing would have sucked. We would have gone. We've been top of the table. We would have gone back-to-back losses. That would have not been great. So in that sense, a draw is like we still got a point.
Well, yeah, when a draw is actually a win for you, than when it's a loss.
We cannot lose back-to-back. It's so funny because our team, we haven't yet, because we're forming the association, we're lining up advertisers, and then we're going to buy kits because it's not pay to play. So even the kits are going to get bought through the advertisement revenue that comes in.
That's fantastic.
What do you mean by a kit?
So
Uh,
the
Uniform.
shirt,
that's
shorts.
what they
Oh,
call a
okay.
uniform.
Okay.
That's
Thanks
a
for
cool
that.
name for it.
Yeah,
Not a
that's
uniform.
That's right. It's not a
All
field, it's a
encompassing.
pitch.
So
The Europeans
shin
do.
guards too? Is that like
Optional,
No.
really?
just because there's no slide tackling, and so and
Also
fouls-
not part of the kit.
true, and fouls have to be like, you have to, if you're intentionally fouling, you'll be asked to leave.
Right.
So like the need for the shin guard isn't as much. So about half probably use them.
Honestly, if I even go put my cleats on right now, they
Do
don't
it.
feel right without a
Shin
set of
pads.
a sock, a shin guard, and then another
Well,
sock.
a high
going
sock.
over.
Yeah, the high sock.
Yeah,
Right.
it
If you
covers
wear them, if
everything.
you wear them with ankle socks,
That's
you're
right.
like, this is not right.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, and I just even in practice all through high school, there was
Sure.
guys that would go and of course I was Mr. Aggressive, especially if you thought you were so cocky you could go
Fine,
to
I'll take out
practice
the one without the shin guard.
as a young dumb kid.
Lesson learned. I showed you.
I was like, you got to practice the way you play, and you got to play the way you practice. That was the way. So you got to put your shin. You got to gear up.
Sure.
You don't
Like,
need to injure your
if you're on
teammates
the
though.
baseball team, you don't say, I'm not going to use my glove in practice.
That's
Right?
fair.
I would,
That's fair.
one would agree. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. Well, we, some of our people had never played sport before. So, right. Shin guards to
Half our
them were-
team.
Yeah, and sometimes it's better to have them simply for they haven't played the sport, so they
True.
may
True.
just be kicking
True.
in,
And of our 12, 15 self-induced ankle injuries, how many of them could have been prevented if those people were wearing shin guards? So,
right.
There's,
Yeah.
there's been some bruised shins.
Oh, absolutely. Without question.
Sure,
But
sure.
that's part of the game. Even when you have shin guards, it's going to happen.
Yeah, they don't stop everything.
No.
Sure.
no. Merely preventative.
So do you have advertisers that you have right now that you'd like to plug?
So we have, we're waiting for the association to be finalized before we
Gotcha.
can say, hey,
This is our sponsor.
correct.
That's our
And
sponsor.
and I also felt very strongly and thankful that the majority of the board agreed, because this was one of those democratic things. Whereas I don't just want, and we've shifted away from the word sponsor and use specifically advertiser,
Mm-hmm.
just to reinforce the fact that this deal is, you give us resources so we can do this thing, and then we will promote you across various different ways. So for
Mhm.
example, there's the package. Each kit, each uniform will have one advertiser on the front,
Mhm.
a different advertiser on the back, one on the sleeve, and then one on the shorts. So there's also degrees of how much
Yeah.
you want to pay based on your advertising level.
That's cool. That's like the Bull Riders. They have all the
Exactly.
patches on them.
Exactly.
I always thought that was a cool
Yes.
look. I don't know.
Like, instead of saying like, I'm looking for 4 advertisers, I'm looking for 16 advertisers.
Right.
And furthermore, and following a lot of the format in that's used in other countries that do it for 10 months, the advertising slot, then the advertiser can pick a game day, and they will be recognized as like the advertiser for that game specifically. So we'll do a big push for them before each game, a big push for them at the end of each game. They and a select number can come on the field and take pictures with the team that they're advertising with. They'll receive a recognition at the end of the season through a placard.
Wow.
and other opportunities to interact, because the hope and the goal is that it's profitable for them as much as it's profitable for us.
Right. But even still, part of the community, and you're advertising as part of your community for such an amazing organization. You know what I mean?
Fair.
So I think a lot of that goes hand in hand. And
That's true.
And some of it may not be, we better get our dollars worth. And it's more like, hey, let's do this because
I just did.
That's okay. It had been
The only reason why I was looking to make sure we had
I know.
sound is because our
That's-
SD card is malfunctioning
Yeah.
Fair.
on,
fair.
in the mixer.
Yeah, fair.
but
I
as
saw
long
it.
as
I
they're
didn't want to
getting
alarm you.
it- I was like, oh boy.
Wait, are you taking over the technical duties?
Nope. I just I'm
somewhere else.
conscious about a few things.
Kyle, if you need a job,
2 heads are better than one. No, we've already agreed that I can't run this without it. Especially with the piece of equipment I ordered this
Yeah.
morning.
so to your point, I agree. But just like I want people to know at the start of the league, and we do announcements before each game. And one of the announcements before we transitioned from pickup to the league starting was, hey, if your captains are there as a resource for you,
Mhm.
So I'm a man of the people. I love to connect with everybody, but I can't connect individually with 55 people each Sunday.
Right.
If you have an issue, like because we got people from different walks of life, people of a variety of ages, if you, let's say, are going through some financial challenges and you don't have gas money to get to the game, let your captains know, because we're not pay to play. People, in the same way that I mentioned earlier, or
Right.
someone bought cleats, sneakers, and
Mhm.
cleats for boots for somebody. We want to support that. It feels good to be a part of something as an adult, where you can be outside, you can exercise,
Mhm.
part of a community. Become like family and friends,
Absolutely.
and
With a purpose.
with a purpose. And also, if something is happening in your life, we would want to know about it.
Right.
Because
it's the community
100%.
part.
100%. And it was touched on a little bit earlier. It's when you don't feel like anyone cares, that's when things can get dark.
Right.
In the same way that I myself this past year have had some challenges within my family. And it's been awesome to know that I can share that with people. And I care very much for my two beautiful little ladies and the lovely lady that I'm married to. And even within those challenges, if I had to stay silent about it, or I had to keep it to myself, that would have been death. It would have been really, really hard. It would have been really, really dark. So
Mhm.
if you're going through something, if in our Sunday league, your job is changing, or you have to move, or you've got some family challenges or financial challenges occurring, like, let us know, because we've decided we want to know and care.
Yeah.
And that is a unique opportunity where you're going to see us every week,
Right.
rain or shine. We've played in the rain.
But then if you don't show, it's the same. Then somebody reaches out and say, "Where have you been? What's going?
100%.
What's
Mm.
going on?"
So to me, even advertisers, I appreciate that they want to, and I want their money
yeah.
so we can exist and
Right.
grow and do the things we have visions for. But I even want advertisers to know, like, this isn't just, oh, you've sponsored
Yeah, it's
our
not just a
kids.
transaction.
No,
Yeah.
come and we will give you pomp and circumstance on the game of your choosing. A select number of people can come on the field and interact with the players. We'll do an event at the end where all the advertisers come in, and we'll do a big, back when I used to coach my brother's team 15, 18 years ago, we would, at the end of the rec season, bring everyone back to Manship. So we'd have like 150 people, all the teams, all the players, all the uncles and aunts and cousins. And they would come, and we would have food and music and
Oh, that's
bounce
cool.
houses. And then we would do the award ceremonies for each individual team. We'd split up after that. But
Mhm.
it's, for a moment, just know there's 150 of us here,
Right.
and we're all here doing the same thing.
Well, it's funny you said, like, oh, they'll come, we'll give you a plaque. To this day, the town I grew up in Rhode Island, I'll go into those pizza places, and they still do it. They
Yeah.
give the team photo,
Exactly.
and they have a plaque of,
Exactly.
hey, we sponsored this, and
And they
I
keep
mean,
that
I can't. When we were growing up, I was on all those all
That's
over
right.
the place,
They keep those there.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a much bigger town than any of the ones around here. But the sense of community when you walk into these places and see what they do for it is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so in a community that size, it is gigantic.
Awesome. Yep.
So that's very cool.
Yep.
And that's a hard mission to keep.
It is a hard mission to keep, but I'm a believer, and I feel very strongly about these things. And it's been, without much effort, the summer pickup became a thing.
Right.
Without much effort, the league became a thing. And then a couple of us were like, hey, we're going to form an association. One of us is really passionate about about particularly premier level play for youth. So if I'm going to take a little bit of a dig.
That's definitely pay to play.
So she
affordable.
So she and I were talking and about creating premier for this area that's affordable to play, because again, in other countries, there isn't that. It's you play on your rec teams, your travel teams, but then most of the clubs, or a lot of the clubs, have academies.
Right.
An academy is then your funnel system. And then from the academy, then you're trialing any number of teams within that country okay. So we don't have that. We have Premier, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have college, also expensive. And that does not guarantee. Then after that, we're back to 32 professional teams.
Right.
Or with the USL combined, okay, maybe 50 professional teams, but for a million, hundreds of millions of Americans, that's too few teams. So to me, that system doesn't work either. That's going to have to change in the US. It's going to need to reflect a more of a, and that's one of the things we hope to start, is that academy style opportunity that then says, hey, US, we need more amateur teams, semi-professional teams, professional teams, because we've got a lot of people who want to play the sport.
Right. And and there's a reason it's not the most popular sport in this country, right? It's hard to grow to that.
That's true. I do think we're at a unique time. You mentioned Welcome to Wrexham. You mentioned the Ted Lasso show on Apple TV.
Right.
Messi coming to play for Inter Miami.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that happened this year that are different.
Well, and what's crazy about the Messi thing is it's not just Inter Miami, it's all of MLS. So
Correct.
One of my buddies works for the Revolution, and the games that they'll play them are like wild. Like it was impossible. If you had to tell them you want tickets or you need tickets, or just because of the pomp and circumstance around him, which is deserving.
Correct.
He's an incredible player, and
Correct.
that's just exacerbated in the MLS, right?
right. And I've done some. I know that the MLS recently has launched the MLS Next Pro, which is going to be their second tier. They don't do promotion regulation, but I've done also some light research on the USL, and they have a championship, which is somewhat of a minor version of the MLS, not connected.
Yeah, Hartford Athletic is USL.
Correct. And then they have a League One, which only has 17 teams. I think that one.
They travel in minivans across the country.
And then they have a League Two. And their League Two is a summer feeder program. And there's like 72 teams. And there's AC Connecticut. And then there's 3 teams in Massachusetts. There's Vermont Green FC. And so there's like 8 within this area.
Wow.
And so it's in Rhode Island, just built or is building.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Pawtucket. Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's like that's a massive project.
Rhode Island FC. Yeah. It's huge. I can't wait till it opens.
Correct. And so it feels different right now than it ever has before.
Well, and even if you look at like when we were 7, 8, 9, U8 was the youngest they had.
That's right.
Nothing lower. Right. Now you can be 4.
That's
they're not games, right? They're skills.
Skill level.
But you have the ability to play. Again, pay to play. But
That's right.
But they've grown the age gap to be able to start early.
Right. And communities, what we did by offering free football on Mondays and Wednesdays, every town should be doing that.
Yeah.
There are parents like myself who will be at the field with their kids anyway, who wouldn't mind if 4 or 5 other parents join them to do free football, soccer for however many kids want to show up. And that stuff like that. There was a young lady, she played on the middle school team in Canterbury, didn't play rec. She came up to me because I would go to watch some of the middle school games because they were there for the summer program. So I want to come support them. And she came up to me to say, what you did during the summer changed my game so much. Right. And as now in our young 40 somethings, I don't know where we are, but right about there you go. That is different than it was even with our parents, in the sense that there's an opportunity to do things now at the local level that I think hasn't been done before.
And it's so needed. I mean, kudos to you guys for being part of expanding any sport at this point with screen addiction and video game addiction
100%.
And all this living in the virtual world, which, obviously we've all doom scrolled. We've all done that. And
we're here because of the virtual world, so be careful what you say.
It's great, but you need a balance.
100%.
But you need a balance.
100%.
And the more people walking around without a balance, man, I just feel bad for them.
I agree.
And the more opportunities we can spread to get out.
So do you guys have? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Plus the camaraderie,
right?
That's
community
interaction.
That's a big part of it.
As adults,
which
there aren't many spaces for that.
No, very little.
And I never played sports, so I never had that. And then getting it was awesome.
Right, and you'll see that even grow more with a league.
Right.
you know what I mean? Because now, like you said, it's skins. So
we've been at the top of the table. So until our association is finally done and the advertisers come in and we buy the full kits, we've been using pennies. So our team has been the gold team, the yellow team, gold team. Because we're at the top of the table, other teams don't want to use our pennies. Like when we do
You're gonna
pickup,
hurt some feelings.
so much. When we do pickup, they'll be like, okay, but don't let me use the gold color. Like you can use the white and the blue for pennies for this pickup game, but don't use the gold color. So there's like this. It's like it's made up, but it's
coveted.
beautiful. It's lovely.
Coveted.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen some trophies that are like 2x4 and a beer can nailed to it.
But it
Like,
does. It's
This has
yours.
been in my family for generations.
Right.
We compete.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's yours,
Yeah,
right? And
it's
so it's something to work for. So if so you talked about your wait list. Is there? Can they go through your Facebook page to
Yeah,
sign up
100%,
or
100%.
message you guys?
Yeah, they can go through the Facebook page.
Yeah, it
They-
should be pinned right to the top.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, and they have an opportunity to get on the wait list or reach out or
100%.
whatever they need. to do.
And we had started a YouTube channel that has our match reactions on it. So it
And no, it doesn't matter the town, right?
doesn't matter the
You
town.
don't
A
have to be in Canterbury.
We have 3 or 4 people come from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
One
couple people
guy-
down from the shore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
And next summer when we open it up, we'll be making it public. When we have the green space with at least 2 fields, we'll be saying just like we did for the kids, like bring your masses,
Right.
and we
So
will
for
get
rec,
them to
anyone
play.
can play,
Mhm.
and then from there, as long as we know them, then they can play league.
Okay, so you guys are still doing Sunday evening. Well, obviously not now, but
Sure.
you're still going to have the Sunday evening pickup,
Correct.
Right.
and then you'll have the league portion.
So the Sunday pickup closed. We're just doing it. Good question. We're just doing that in the summer.
Oh, okay,
Right.
So when the league is running, the pickup's closed.
gotcha.
However, through the Facebook, we indicate when we have pickup opportunities.
Okay,
So like we did a pickup on the 24th.
Right.
We did a pickup the day after the 25th of November. We did the 24th of December. So we've had we will have them throughout the year and they'll be mentioned on Facebook.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if
So Christmas Eve, we knew everyone wasn't going to show up for a game, so we just did a pickup, and we had 20 people there.
Yeah, I mean, there was a gentleman there who, when I came to set up for the pickup game, he was actually getting ready to leave, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we have a league we're playing at the spot right now," and he wanted to know more about it. And he was getting ready to leave. He would just come to that field to just kick a ball around every Sunday just before we would get there, and he happened to be later. And so that's why he connected with us. Now he's in the league.
Nice.
So like there are,
that's awesome.
we just bring your masses and we will find an opportunity for them. As long as you're coming to play this particular sport that we enjoy, that we love,
Any skill set.
100%. Never played before, just want to get in shape.
Right.
Come and join us. And we had some people. Yeah, you will love it.
Mm.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
That's awesome.
And if they don't do Facebook, because like I don't do Facebook, how else, Coach Chris, could
That's why Chris
how
messaged
else
us.
could they get in touch with us?
That's a good question.
Do we put your cell phone number on the air?
The league needs
No.
to.
We have an email address.
I was going to say
We have an
email
email
address,
address.
and then
It's-
you guys can put that in the comments or
What's the
when
email
you
address?
reshare this
Tell me.
episode.
I don't know. Can you, while we're talking, can you pull it up?
We can put it in the comments now if you
Okay.
have.
Yeah. In the comments, thank you for that. In the comments, we'll have the link to the email.
Yeah.
If you don't do Book of Faces.
Yeah, if you can't find that, you can comment. You can reach out to anybody at the community workbench. We'll get you connected.
Thank you
with
for that.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Definitely.
Thank you for that.
All right. I think that was a great episode.
Yeah.
Good place. Good place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Guys, obviously when you have updates, let us know and
For sure.
we'll have you on again.
For sure.
And
Absolutely.
It's been awesome. It's been awesome to nerd out with soccer a little bit
And
here
hacky
too.
stack. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Bring it back.
We're bringing it back. Bring it back.
Hope to see you guys in the summer for a little rec.
Yeah.
Who's interested? Any?
But see, now you know us, so we can play
Yes.
league, right?
I feel like once Coach Aaron knows you, you can play.
Sometimes when I turn on the switch.
You can't
No.
turn it off.
No.
But so, as you listen, would that be something you would do?
Probably.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
We're gonna hold you to
Yeah, I used to play. So there's an indoor place in North Smithfield, Wide World Sports.
Yeah.
But there is no wall, so you play. It's turf
Sure.
and it's outside. So
Sure.
for years, I'm still friends with like a bunch of guys I went to high school with and played soccer with, and so they would put together teams and we'd play up there.
Awesome.
And yeah, same deal.
So
It's
much
awesome.
fun.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
much fun.
it's incredible.
Yep.
So
All right, everybody. Definitely look into the Last Green Valley Football Club. It's a field of opportunities.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
I can dad joke out of here.
email is in the comments.
Yes, thank you.
So
Thank you, tech support.
I didn't do it. I think Chris's wife did, which happens quite a bit around here, actually.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Join us next week at 6 p.m. when we interview the Chop Shop. And they're on Main Street. Check them out if you haven't already, and we will be hearing from them. Until then, always buy local, hire local, dine local, volunteer local, and donate local. Have great days, everybody.
Amen.